Ready to add a little spooky charm to your sketchbook? In this Halloween whimsy tutorial, we're painting a crooked haunted house, glowing pumpkins, and a scarecrow with serious seasonal flair. Whether you're decorating, relaxing, or just feeling festive, this cozy, creepy scene is packed with personality. Grab your favorite supplies and let's bring this haunted yard to life, one spooky detail at a time. The first thing we're going to do is our pencil sketch, and I'm just going to sort of lay out my boundaries here. So this will be the bottom of the painting, and I want to leave some room on the side in case I want to frame this someday. Then it won't have the painting come inside the frame. And the top is going to be right about here. And I will just sort of lay in my border there just lightly. And the next thing we're going to do is draw in our haunted house. So I'm just going to lay down the rough layout here of the hill. And I'll just do that. Our step is going to be roughly right around here. And then I'm just going to draw in a rectangle. So that way I know where my my walls are going to be roughly out there for the bottom one. And then the top one's going to be thinner. And we'll put that in like that. And I've gone beyond my my border line here, so I'm just going to take my eraser and redo that. Like so. And we'll do this, and we'll put the little bird in here. Pop in a chimney. And our trim for the roof here. Put in our window. And then our second roof. Like so. And you can make this more raggedy and kind of disregarded abandoned haunted house. Put in my steps here. And then my door. And we'll put that there. Window is okay. And just do that. Let's put in the bottom of the other roof. And we'll just make our roof sagging a little bit here. Like that. And we'll put on some of that iron rail, wrought iron work at the top. And I actually want to put a chimney in here. Okay, and I forgot to put the little baubles on the top there. And we'll do one more there. If you hear noise that in the background, that's the neighbor's leaf blowing or something. It's October 19th today while I'm filming this. And people are cleaning up their yards. blowing away the leaves and such. And we'll put in our shingles or an indication of the shingles. We don't have to go into too much detail here, just enough to remember where things are. And we will do a little pathway. Comes out like that. And we are going to put in some clouds in the sky. I'll just do one up here. And we'll do a little bat up here. So I like to try to draw an M and a V for the body. And then I do two curves like that. And then the under wing is like little M's or such. Okay, so what else do we need here? We need a fence with a pumpkin. So just sort of a broken fence. And the hill. It's just going to be some scrubby dead grass here. And we're going to draw the scarecrow in here. And we'll just put on some scraggly wind-torn shirt. Just sort of have it blowing in the wind there. And then it needs to have a pole. And we need to have a head. And you could do some straw or whatever here. I'm going to extend the stick there a little bit. And he needs a hat. And just do that. And I'm going to draw a bird here on the top. Oops, it doesn't look very much like a bird. There we go. And we'll do the same thing over here. And you'll need some eyes and a stitched mouth or whatever like that. And at the bottom is going to be a pumpkin patch. So we will do one here. Just do some squiggly lines for some grass. And these will be jack-o'-lanterns, so they'll have some scary faces on them. And then we'll just do some vines around the bottom. And we need another one here, a bigger one. Like so. He's going to have more of a gaping mouth. And put the top on. Have it come around like that. Do a few vines. And maybe just one more little pumpkin at the bottom here. It won't be a jack-o'-lantern. It'll just... it's not quite big enough yet for one. Okay, so I think that is going to be the basis of our sketch here. I'll just round off the hill there. I need a little bit more of a fence back here. Like that. And you could just do a little more indication of some dead weeds. And then we will put in some bricks here later with ink pen. but if you just want to draw in a few right here to remember, that's okay. Okay, that is our sketch portion, and I'll be back with the painting part of the video. All right, so it's just a few things here I want to do before we start painting. I'm going to erase my my lines here that I had previously sketched in just to get my bearings. And I also feel like we need just something else right here, just to balance it out a little bit more. So if you want, you could put in a tombstone, and just, I don't, RIP is, I guess, your traditional tombstone writing. And I think that, you know, just balances out a little bit more. It just felt a little too empty right there. Today, as usual, I use permanent red, lemon yellow, cobalt blue, and we will use those three colors to make this painting. The clouds I'm going to actually not do white, but if you would like to, you could do a darker blue or purple background here, and then have some gray or white clouds poking out there. I'm going to do the clouds a darkish blue. So I do those. I will do those first, and I'm just laying in some clean water on the sides that I want the blue to be. Now this one I had covered the entire cloud, but I can just drop in some blue right there. And I forgot to pre-wet my paints here. And I have leftover red and some gold from a previous painting. I try to use those up as I go along. So actually I'll just dip into that red there. We'll make a purple-ish color, and we'll drop that in. So this is the wet on wet watercolor technique. And relatively simple. Just put a little bit on the bottom of the cloud there. While I have that purple, I'm just going to try to decide, I think I will use that for the roof while I have that on the palette. So I will wet the roof first with water, and you'll see purple in there because I didn't clean my brush off perfectly because I'm going to be using that purple. You can leave a little line of white here to have a highlight. And my whites are going to be on the right side because if there's any light at all, it's going to be coming from this direction. So the left side will be my shadow side. And I'm going to make up a little bit more of that purple here. And we'll just drop that in. Okay. I'll take a little bit more of that with a little bit more blue and just put a bit more in while the paint is still wet. This side will be in shadow because this will be blocking any light that's behind it to the side. And this side will have a little bit more light. Now, while we have that color on our palette, I'm going to paint the building part of it like a stone gray. So we're going to take a little bit of yellow, and I know it looks green right now. We'll add a little bit of red, which is more than a little bit there. So now it looks like we just have red on here, and that's okay. And a little bit of yellow and a lot more blue. Need a little more yellow here. So it kind of looks sort of brown, but when we dilute that out with more water, we will get a grayish color. And I'm just going to dry brush that in. So it will actually be wet paint on dry paper. So that way I have some more control over where the paint is going to go. And it's okay if some of your roof bleeds into that, because it'll be a stone color anyhow. So as you can see, this did turn out into a gray. So it's just a matter of practicing with your colors to see what colors you can get from those three. And usually when you add water to something that looks like brown but has more of a blue tone in it, it will look gray when you do put it down on the paper. So just practice and see what kind of color combinations you get. Write them down so you remember until you practice enough with it that you can, remember what colors make what other colors. Okay, so we've got that in. And I just want to add a little bit more blue to that to get more of an indigo navy blue. And we will drop some of that in, especially at the bottom here and on the side, because again, this part is sticking out from the house and it'll be blocking any light that might be getting onto this other recessed part of it. Okay, so I'll leave this side a little lighter and we'll put some more in the top here, and then our chimneys will be darker. Okay, so we'll leave that for now. I want to come back and do these trim parts of the roof. And we'll just do this part here. And the door, I'm not sure what color I'm going to do that yet. So I'm just going to leave that for the moment. While we have that grayish color, we're going to do the headstone. And I'll just dilute it a little bit more here with the water so it looks a little grayer. I'll just add a bit more there. And I do recommend testing this out on a scrap piece of paper so you know what color you have before you put it on your good paper. And we could do the pathway, that color too. Okay, while that is drying, we're going to start on our pumpkins. And we will use red and yellow. Keep forgetting that You know, the red is pretty powerful. You don't need a lot of it. As you can see, I have the most red left so far, and then I used the yellow less, and the blue I've used more than other colors. Okay, so I'm gonna clean my brush off mostly, and I still have some orange in there. So we will just put that in as our first layer. And you can go over the eyes and stuff here, because we'll just come back with the black marker and go over that. And one more there. And while that is still wet, we're going to come back in with our other orange and just do a little bit on the side, the left side, towards the middle, and a little bit on the right side. We can come back in later and do some blue for shadows, just to make those stand out a little bit better. Okay, so we got all our pumpkins here. While we have that in our brush, that's not dry yet, I will just do a little bit of glow in our lanterns. So I'm gonna dry off my my brush and take a little bit of that, put it there. Now you can take some clean water if you want these to glow. So I'm just gonna clean off my brush here. I have another pot of clean water to my right here. And dab my brush a little bit, and then you can make these glow a little bit more by drawing out that color that we just laid down. It won't be so noticeable on camera here, but it is there. And that just makes a nice little hazy glow. Okay, so while that is drying, I think we will work on the clothes for the scarecrow. So I think we'll do the shirt and the hat, some yellow and some brown. Get our yellow down here, just mixed in with that bluish color, so we're making a little bit of a dirty, excuse me, yellow green, which is fine. And I just want to lay in some water here first. And we'll do the top of the hat. Grab that, drop it in. And I think we'll do the hat brown. So we have a yellow green here. We're going to grab a little bit of red, which is making an orange, and we will then grab some blue. Orange and blue are complementary colors, and when we mix them together, we will get a brown. Like so. Okay, then we will drop that in on the top, and so it's sort of like a straw hat. And while we have that color, I might do a little bit into his shirt also. We will do some dead grass and such around the hill. But I think I want to do it a green base and then drop some of the brown in. So while I have the yellow there, grab some blue. can make a dirty green. And I've mixed some gold metallic in there as well. So this thing is going to have a bit of a shine. I'll drop in some water here first. And on the other side, do a little bit up to the doorstep. And underneath the pumpkins, do a little bit behind them. And then just at the bottom here. Okay, so then we'll drop in some of that green. And then intersperse it with some of the brown. If you hear wind, I am out in my bunkie painting, and it's a windy autumn day. So that's not sound effects that I added for atmosphere. That's the real deal. And now we'll put in some brown. And you could just do that near the items that need like a shadow underneath them also, like that. And we'll put some up at the doorstep and behind the pumpkins. Okay, and underneath. And then later we could come in with, later we could come in with some blue for some shadow underneath there. Okay, so I just want to draw that out a little bit more. And soak some of that up from the hat because it's a little bit too much there. There we go. Next, let us make a dark purple for the bat. So that will require more blue than red. So we get that dark color. Dab my brush off a little bit on some paper towel so it's not quite so wet. And then we're just doing wet on dry technique here, so that way I have more control over the paint about where I want that to go. Okay, so now that's mostly dry. We're going to come back and do our trim. I'm going to make this just a little bit more darker. And dab my brush on a paper towel to get some of that extra paint off. So just be careful that you're not smudging the wet areas of your painting while you're doing this. These will be more defined once we go over them in ink. Now, if you wanted to, you could ink your painting first and then use watercolor. That is entirely up to you. I watercolor first, then ink, because then my lines are crisper. I've found that if I ink first and then do some watercolor, it makes the lines duller, so I prefer to do it color first, then then ink. Just do a little bit of a shadow there. I'm going to blend that out with some water. There we go. And yeah, we need to do a little bit here. And some at the bottom of that one. And where else? We need a shadow underneath this part. On the roof. Like that. And a shadow here on the inside of this one because it's darker. You could do a little shadow underneath these windowsills too, so you could basically just blend that out there. And then we could use some shadows under here, but I want that to dry first. So I might do a shadow here where the chimney is, and then on the inner part of this roof from this part of the building. Like that, and then underneath. Just add a little bit more here. Okay, while we have that blue on our brush, we can just clean our brush a little bit here. Take a little bit of that blue and then put a shadow underneath the pumpkins and where the tombstone, the headstone is, and then underneath these pumpkins here. Like that. Just make it a little more pronounced underneath. And then the building could have a bit of a shadow going on too here, like that. Let's bring it right up to the headstone. Okay. Next, we are going to do a little bit of a shadow on our pumpkins. So we'll just take that blue and do some of the curves here. Like that. And there, there, and there. So basically just wherever it would curve, we're going to put a shadow there. And on the little one also. But then we make sure that the biggest shadow is going to be on the left. Like that. And we'll just put a little bit of a shadow on the scarecrow here. And on that side of the hat. And there's not too much more left to do. We could do the top of the lanterns with that same blue color. And we could do the top of the broken fence. We could do the top of the wrought iron on top of the house. And we need to do the door. I think we'll just do it a brown. So I'm making purple and then I'm going to add some yellow. which stands out quite a bit, but it also sort of ties into the colors over here on the scarecrow. So I'm not too worried about that. And you could smudge some of that brown into the house too, or onto the roof. You could just do a little glaze of that. So we just water that down a little. And get the excess paint off. And you can just add a little bit to the roof, just to give it another dimension of color. And the stonework, why not? Okay, so let's paint the windows, and then I think we will just get into deciding whether we need an extra layer of anything. So the windows are going to be an orange glow, so I'm just going to water down what we already have here. And wipe off my brush a little bit, and then just put those windows in. Needs to be a little bit darker. Need a little bit more of a glow. Like that. And I could do the top of the scarecrow's head a little lighter version of that orange. So I'm just watering it down. Okay, so I think I'll just smudge that out a little bit at the base of the door. Bring it down into the pathway a little, just to make it a little darker. I think I'm going to leave it at that. We'll let that dry. So our painting is dry, and if you want, you can add some shadow underneath the eaves here, but I'm just going to leave it for time's sake. So we're going to ink. I'm using my Uniball Vision Needle 0.5 millimeter waterproof pen, and we will just, I'm going to start over on the left side, work my way over to the right, so that way I'm not smudging any of my lines. And it's okay if you have whimsy, wonky lines. Just adds character to the painting. But you know, I could, when that's dry, I could erase that pencil line there. If you want a cleaner drawing, you can erase your pencil lines. If you ink first and then paint. Could give him some eyes. Okay, so I'll start over here. So let me know in the comments below what you like most about Halloween, if you like it at all. I'd love to hear your thoughts. It is one of my favorite times of the year. And I have made a whimsical coloring page that is a seek and find also. I will leave the link for that in the description below. It's free for you to download from my Payhip shop. And I have printed off 120 of those this year for the trick-or-treat bags that I make up for our trick-or-treaters every year. And we usually always get over 100 trick-or-treaters. So I'm folding that up, and I'm including a couple stickers and then a candy of some sort in each bag. So you are more than welcome to grab that free printable and print it off, or have it printed off somewhere cheaply if you can, and you can pop that in trick-or-treat bags if you make those up. It's a nice little non-candy treat. And maybe reduces some screen time as well for those trick-or-treaters. Usually I'll make up an activity booklet every year, but I ran out of time this year, so I just did a coloring page, which I'm happy with. And if you just want to print it off and color it yourself or paint it yourself, then by all means, go ahead. And I need to add a few more bricks in here. So down at the bottom, and then some stone dots here for texture. Makes a big difference, these dots. It's called stippling. I used to make paintings out of dots, and it is quite a time-consuming process, but the result is quite amazing. And I just wanted to see if I could do it. So, okay, so let's just put in some squiggly lines there for the grass. And put in the bottom of the steps there. You can put in some lines here to indicate some wood. And let's put some bricks up here. Okay, now if you also wanted to, you could add some metallic paints to various parts of the painting for a more magical effect. That is also an option, some gold or some silver. If you were making a night scene, it would be very impressive on some dark paint. Okay, so I'm just making sure that I've outlined all my windows here. In my last painting, I missed one, and a viewer did point that out to me, and it's like, that's okay. My pencil lines are usually pretty dark enough that it would stand out on its own, which is probably why I missed it to begin with. Sometimes I can't tell the difference between my pencil lines and my ink lines, just because I draw so darkly, so you can see better on the camera what I'm doing. Okay, I'll just do some squigglies there and finish off this pumpkin here. And we'll do the headstone with some squigglies. R.I.P. and just some more squiggly lines. Do our little pathway. And we'll just tie this together with a line at the bottom. And put in this bird here on top of the scarecrow, which does not seem to be so effective against these crows. Drawing the eyeballs. We'll just put the clothing just above this stick. So that way it looks like it's resting on there, and you could do some branches at the end there to indicate some hands. And we'll make this blow in the breeze. Like that. And some rough lines at the bottom to indicate like straw or something. Okay, so let's bring the rest of our line down here. And we'll finish off these pumpkins. So this is sort of a combination drawing of, from your viewer requests from my last video. Some of you asked for a haunted house, scarecrow, and a pumpkin patch. So I thought, well, let's try to do a 3-in-1 here to sort of cover all the bases, because I didn't realize that I have not been filming the last few weeks. I was working on some my autumn watercolor workbook, which I was sort of late getting out. And I should have been filming autumn and Halloween videos, and I've just realized there's really only this week left, and next week, and then it's Halloween. So I needed to sort of consolidate the requests. So I've stuck 3-in-1 here. Hoping to get a couple videos out before Halloween. And we'll just do that. Yeah, I'm behind my schedule here, what I had planned for this year. And I'm just happy that I got the autumn workbook out during autumn still and before Halloween. And then the next one I'm working on is a workbook for winter whimsy. And then I will be working on a Christmas holiday workbook as well. So I've got lots of projects in the works. Okay, so I'm just gonna color our lanterns black there on the top. They need a little bit more definition, and that is our inking. We're going to add a little bit of white highlights here with the SimTap acrylic marker from ArtX. I did a few videos on those if you want to see how I reviewed them. We're going to add just a little bit of white highlights here to this painting. I'm leaving the white here because that's the weight of our paper. And we'll just do that. I like to put a dab on the bricks to differentiate them, make them stand out a bit. Draw your eye, and usually the side of the building also. And on the brick underneath the windows. We'll do a few dabs over here, some on the steps, and sometimes I like to do a few here. Could do a few on the pathway. Do on the tombstone and the pumpkins. Do a bit of a glow in the lanterns. Add some to the clothing, side of the scarecrow's face, eyeballs in the crows. That one didn't turn out too big. We'll try that again. My hand was shaking a little bit there. And we'll put some on the wrought iron fence. And I need to shake this actually because it's not quite as opaque, as thick as I want it to be. I'll just test it on a piece of paper there. There we go, that's better. And we'll put some on our pumpkins. Just in a few spots. And on the side, could do a bit on the stem. Okay, and I think I'm gonna call this painting finished. So let me know in the comments what you liked about this painting. Let me know if you gave it a try. Let me know if you're going to give it a try. Yeah, tell me your thoughts about Halloween. What you think about it and what you might most be anticipating about it. I will wish you all a world of whimsy. Take care and bye for now.